Perfect.
Okay, good. Okay, I just wanted to tell you that because it's been an interesting journey. I did get tested and I tested negative, so I'm grateful for that. I have my annual head cold, as my wife says, usually the 1 or 2 weeks after the holidays, I always get either a head cold or bronchitis. So it goes with the territory. Okay, I want to start off tonight because we're doing the second lecture in the series, and we're going to talk a lot tonight about different techniques of being able to work on doing a positive inventory. So I want to begin by doing a reading from one of my favorite books, Each Day a New Beginning, which is the Women's Meditation book. And I picked a reading for tomorrow because I think I really enjoyed it. All is well. In the midst of turmoil, let us remember all is well. In the midst of the pain of self-awareness, all is well. The struggle of the turmoil, the pain that accompanies the lessons of self-awareness, are preparing us for becoming all we are meant to become. We each have a special gift to offer in this life. We will come to understand those gifts and be able to give them as we grow with the pain of self-understanding. All is well. Deep down, happiness ripples. It's rippling to the surface of our lives. Our lesson for today is understanding, both of myself and of others. Happiness is the grade I earn each day of my new becoming. That's what I call positive reading. I kind of loved it this morning when I went over that. I have this little habit of mine that when I do my meditation, I usually read the day's meditation. And for some reason, I kind of cheat and read tomorrow's too. So I get an idea what's coming up. I did that because I want to share a couple of things with you tonight, which I think are really important. When we talk about this concept of developing a healthy, positive inventory of myself. One of the things that's hard for many of us is because we have a tendency to get stuck in the negative. And so I've learned over and over again that being able to develop and look at myself in a positive way sometimes is harder than going to the negative. I've also learned some techniques in the course of my own journey, going through my own healing and my own forgiveness, is that those three questions I want to talk about today are, who am I? Why am I here? And what can I do to learn to love myself as a person? What things do I do to love myself? See, what's so important is that we each do our own inventory, to look within our own selves, to look into our spirit. Unfortunately, when I ask that question, who am I? So many people have a tendency to answer me by telling me what they do. Who are you? I'm a doctor. Who are you? I'm a teacher. No, that's what you do. That's your job. But who are you as a person? It's one of the hardest questions to answer in the course of the journey of life. Because it means, who am I deep down inside? What is my spirit? So many times we get caught up in images of the outside. It's interesting in my own journey, in my own life, I didn't realize this for a long period of time in my life. I was very external. I only functioned in the external because I basically had a hard time going to the internal. Why? I don't know. Maybe I was scared or afraid. Maybe because I didn't even know. Because growing up as a child, I never really had an internal. I was always based on people around me, things around me. And a lot of times I had a tendency to look to somebody else to tell me who I am. That goes back to my history in many ways. My mother basically kind of prepared me. And basically, again, I know they're coming out of their traditions, the Italian traditions, and kind of got me ready to be the family priest. So I was actually delegated, but back then, I don't know, I thought it was normal. And so what do? You follow through, you do what they want you to do because they're telling you that you're supposed to do. But really, in reality, I never had the opportunity to go past that, to look beyond it. Even though I did a fantastic job as a priest. I did a lot of good. But the bottom line was I was in the process very slowly and gradually of beating myself up on the inside and always worrying about what other people thought of me. So my codependency traits blossomed during that period of time. But at the same time, I was able to accomplish a lot and do a lot. And I say this very many times because one of the things that helped me tremendously in my healing process, my family, but especially with mom and dad, was going back and looking at their history. You know, it's so powerful sometimes when you're doing your work. You know, we always have a tendency to look at how things happened to us in growing up, happened to our system, but go back and look at theirs. Look at what they went through. That helped me tremendously to understand better and to do a lot more healing. I look at my dad. My dad, you know, came from the old country. My dad was in the First World War, in the Italian cavalry. When he was 15 years old, he signed up for the war. It's totally amazing back then. And he rode one of those horses. I've often said I love the movie The War Horse. I cried all the way through it because it really was the story of my father and what he did in the war. It was a horrible war. And yet after the war, his family kind of prepared his life for him. They arranged a marriage with my mother, put him on a boat, shipped him to America, got off the boat. My mother's name was on him. He didn't even know who she was. And then basically, you know, walked down the gangplank, not even speaking English. And all of a sudden, he was an employee of the Pennsylvania Railroad. Took him 7 months to lay on track to get up to meet my mom. So the bottom line was that was normal for them. My mother, on the other hand, went through her own struggles. Her mother died when she was 2 years old. Then she spent 5 years in an orphanage, being raised by nuns. And then her father found a new wife, and then she went back and lived with them and developed half brothers and half sisters. And all this stuff I looked at in my life, and I realized, wow, look how strong they were. Look how much they came through. Look at the obstacles they had to overcome. And that helped me to realize the fact of I've got to overcome my obstacles and be able to go through a healing process, and being able to understand them helped me to understand myself a lot better. And over the years, I realized this. I really believe on that journey of finding out who you are, and then asking yourself the question, why am I here on this earth? Why did God put me here? But I also understand something else today. God sends teachers into our life to help us on our journey. The hardest part for many of us is to go back and look at the lessons and look at the teachers. I can go way back to when I was, I guess what, Billy knows this, when I was like 20 years old. I don't know. I was a young guy. I really, please, all right. Pat, I really was 20 at one time. I really believe, you have to believe me. But anyway, John believes me, I know that. But when I was 20 years old, I was working in a parish as a young seminarian, and I met one of my great teachers in this life. His name was Woody, very beautiful man. That man taught me so much about children, working with kids, developing things in life. He has such a great spirit to him. But I didn't really appreciate Woody's spirit until later in my life, because I realized he was one of my teachers. I look at all my different areas in my life, and I can see so many different teachers, and I can remember even this lady who I can't remember who she is. Isn't that fun part about life sometimes? Things happen to you, you're trying to figure out who the person is. But way back when I was a deacon, before I got ordained, she gave me a teddy bear. And that teddy bear, I didn't realize it then, was going to shape my life and change my life in a lot of ways. When later on in life, I had to do my inner child work. So I find it really interesting how God keeps sending these messengers, these teachers into your life. And unfortunately, because we're human, and because it takes us a while to look at ourselves and work on ourselves, it takes a while for us to be able to really see the messages and the things that have come through, how we've been touched in different areas of our life. Even going to my first parish when I was a priest, I went to a parish where the pastor was an alcoholic, and as a result, I didn't know much about alcoholism back then. And as a result of me living in that parish, all of a sudden I met somebody. Here comes God again. And I have to be able to look at this. Came into my life and took me to my first 12-step meeting, introduced me to the 12 steps and to the program way back in 1969. But if I didn't go to that parish and meet that alcoholic pastor, even though it was insanity in that rectory, that's why I said before, sometimes you got to go through the fire to get to the other side. You got to go through the struggle to do the growth. And so really, as a result of that, it started me on a journey. I didn't know I was starting on a journey, but it started me on a journey. And even running the parish, I had to run the parish for 3 years. I didn't know anything about running a parish. I didn't know anything about running anything. I didn't even run my own life. And yet I did it by the seat of my pants. Then later on, I ran Starting Point by the seat of my pants. So it's totally amazing. You know, isn't it fun sometimes you don't know what you're doing, you do it anyway. And then you learn as you do it. That's the fun part about life. And so you realize after a while, even when it comes to different things in life and going through different struggles in life, you do your learning as you go along, as you grow. That's why we're here. Every one of us is here because we are on the journey we are supposed to be on. And that journey in time will help us to look at things in a positive light and a good light. Even losses on the journey take place. People come, people go, people leave us. And sometimes we go through major tragedies. I've often said over and over again that somehow, some way, if we can go through a healing process, even tragedies can bring us a learning, a growing process. I experienced many times people who have lost children, who have gone through changes. I use the example in my own life of my nephew. I had the privilege of doing his wedding quite a while ago, and they were pregnant with their first child. They found out their child was deformed and that the child probably wouldn't live too long once the child was born. But they stayed together and they had the child, and the child was born, and they only had the child for maybe 8 hours. But she was able to hold her child, be with her child, and that child became a great teacher for her. Because of the strength of that child that she lost, she was able to have 2 more children. She was able to grow tremendously as a woman as a result of it. So you can look at that at the other side right now, even though she went through a loss. I've seen this over and over again in people when they're able to look at the other side. And the hardest part is getting to the other side. Because you got to go through the healing to come to the acceptance, to come to the growth. I've said this so many times, the greatest spiritual word on the face of this earth is the word acceptance. But acceptance doesn't come easily. It comes through a process of trial, a process of error, a process of hurt. But then we can come to that peace and that serenity of acceptance. I've always cherished page 417 in the big book of AA, where they talk about acceptance. And it's so simple, it's not complicated. And yet, all of us know we go through grief, we go through loss, we go through changes. Coming to acceptance doesn't just happen overnight. It's a process we have to go through. Growing, learning, healing, all this is part of a process. But there is a rainbow. There is something beautiful on the other side. We can come to it. But it takes time to earn that, to learn that, to develop that over the course of our journey. And so as a result, I realize over and over again that trials sometimes, some of you may know this gentleman, but a good friend of mine, I knew him before he had his accident. And he's Dan Gottlieb, he's a psychologist, has a radio show. He's a paraplegic. And I knew him before the accident. And I was around him when he had the accident, and then basically worked with him. And I realized what he went through was tough, really tough. And yet he was able, through his becoming a paraplegic, to be able to develop such a positive attitude and be able to help so many people in their growth process. But he had to embrace who he was. It wasn't about what he looked like on the outside. It was the spirit he had on the inside. That's what was important. And so many times in life, we look at the outside. How do I look? Do I look okay? Well, I don't worry about whether you look okay, because you are okay. The bottom line is what's going on inside of you, the spirit. And when I had a nervous breakdown in 1972, when I was in a psychiatric hospital, God sent another teacher in my life, a beautiful doctor. I don't know his name. I forgot it a long time ago. But the bottom line is, he's the one who challenged me and said to me that you're spiritually dead. You're empty on the inside. You're a shell. Oh, yeah, you have a function on the outside. I was functioning very well. But go to the inside. What's in there? Nothing. So he told me way back then, you need to learn how to become a spiritual person, get in touch with yourself on the inside. But it took from 1972 to 1986 for me to awaken to that, to begin a real growth process. Because I was scared, I was afraid. Change is a hard thing in life. Growth is a hard thing in life. And yet, once you're able to go through it and move to the other side, you go through that discovery process. The discovery process of the uniqueness and the specialness of each and every one of us. And from that, then you'll be able to develop your talents and your gifts. But you have to come to an acceptance of yourself first. Come to a peacefulness of yourself first. Then everything else grows from there and develops from there. It's totally amazing. I have found this in my own life, that when I finally learned some of the simple principles based on our 12-step program, the principle of powerlessness. Isn't it wonderful to be powerless? God, it means you're not in control. Isn't it wonderful? Fantastic. And that's okay, because that's the hardest thing in life, to be able to accept that. Because, I mean, many of us in this room are codependents. I know I am. And as a result, then, control was always a way to, I got to control life. I got to control things in life. But life has this wonderful way of smacking you and saying, you're not in charge. I'm in charge, the higher power. And therefore, you're going to have courage. You're going to go through changes, you're going to go through things in life. And you're going to you're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. Isn't it wonderful? Because you have to screw up to make up. Then you grow and learn from there. It's the same thing in life. Many of the mothers in this room know what I'm talking about. Anybody ever give you a book and show you how to be a mother? Did you go through a training course? No. You went through the fire. You learned from experience. You learned from going through it. Were you scared? I'm sure you were. It's not an easy thing to raise a child, and fathers too. And yet at the same time, we are able to work through things over a period of time. And yet we have to go through and earn the things and be able to experience them. It's all part of life. Even growing older and going into old age, you have to realize the fact, I'm learning from experiences, things I can't do anymore. I can make believe I can do them, but that doesn't work. You can't. You have to change. Change is a constant process. You're always going through it. And as you get older, you have to see where things change in the course of your journey. And that's okay too. But see, I really believe in the power of positive thinking. If you look at things in a positive way, sooner or later, you'll be able to see the lining, the beautiful lining. I look at how simple things are in my eating disorder program in the preamble before our meetings. They talk about simple little things like, eat when you're hungry, rest when you're tired, listen to your body, listen to your heart, listen to your mind, be open to grow, keep balance in all that you do, and always realize if we truly do our work, we'll experience a life that's joyous, a life that's free, and a life that's wonderful. There's always something on the other side. But here, as I learned from the second and third step, if you have faith and you have trust and you let go, things work. It's amazing. I've seen this as Starting Point. I've seen it in my own life. I can still remember, I was always fighting everything, battling everything. I battled technology. Then I got to the other side. Now I love it. Now I see positive things in it. I mean, look at the different people in different parts of the country. Billy and I would never be able to connect where we're connecting today. He's out in Arizona. Denise, Charlie, and Carol down up in the upper part of the state. We're all connected to one another. We're all part of it. We have California. We have different. Oh, that's smart. I think it's great. I get excited now. Loretta thinks I'm nuts, but that's okay. I love it because I'm able to meet with people. We have this beautiful lady that comes on at 12 o'clock, and her name is Reba. She's from Cape May, and she has a background as a Zoom bus. She gets on the Zoom bus to come and visit us all the time. It's totally amazing. So now she's going to send me a copy of the Zoom bus so I can put it on here. We'll have some fun with it. We'll see what happens. But I'm learning over and over again, and that's where that third question comes in. Learn to love yourself, to celebrate who you are, to celebrate the gift of your life, to celebrate the fact that you're on a journey. Yeah. Do you have pitfalls? Do you go through little depressions and anxieties, different changes? We're human beings. That's all normal. We got to go through it. As we go through it, we'll come to the acceptance. We'll come to peace with it. We'll come to growth. That's the concept of loving myself. I never thought my wildest dreams I'd be walking around saying that I love me. When's the last time you actually looked in the mirror and said you love yourself? And you know what's so beautiful about that? It's nice to be able to get people to tell you the good things about you, but we even have a hard time with that. And yet other people see the beauty inside of us, and we always go like this. Yet really, hey, come on, enjoy it, celebrate it, because we have so much beauty, so much gifts, so much talents. And that's why we're here on this earth, to share those gifts, to share those talents, to be part of that journey. I look at my own life. I used to fight everything. I fought writing a book. Then God said, I had enough of you fighting, writing the damn book. He said, here's what we're going to do. I gave a talk in Malvern, and he sent this lady into my life. I have no idea who she was. She walked up to me, had a cup of coffee with me. And I said, don't ask me why. I don't know why. I said to her, I'm tired of people wanting me to write a book. I don't know how to write a book. I'm going to let somebody take my lectures one day, and then maybe I'll put it into a book form. She said, no problem. I did it already. I'll bring you the stuff next week. I said, who are you? She finally told me. And she brought in the stuff to help me start my journey on writing a new book. I didn't know how to put it together. I got a hold of a friend of mine who worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer, was an editor. He sat down with me and helped me. I've learned the magic of this process, asking for help, getting guidance, letting people help you and guide you in different directions. That's what it's really all about. I don't want to do things just by me. I even asked Loretta for help. It's totally amazing. You come right down to it. But that's the fun part about it. Things always happen in different ways. Mike came to our place one day. What did he do? He brought me a new computer, a Mac. I got a large screen. I can see people bigger now. It's fantastic. Thanks, Mike. It's a beautiful part about life. We experience so many different things. People bring things. We don't know where stuff is coming from half the time, but that's what it's really all about. See, it's the little things to get excited about to bring positive growth process in your life, because I really believe trust, faith, and letting go. Things will always come to you. They'll come to you when they're supposed to. We have such a hard time just letting things happen. Even your children, they're part of your journey. But they go through their changes. They go through their growth. They go through their disappointments. They go through their hurt. They go through their pain. We have to allow them, be with them and love them, but be able to help them to go through their growth and their responsibility to grow as people. It's not easy. Believe me, it's not. And yet the hardest thing in the world to do is to stand still, to look within your own soul, within your own heart, and begin to realize who you really are is inside here. It's your spirit. It's the gift of who you are. And I've learned over the years how things will just happen naturally. I get excited about meeting new people, getting new directions. And some of the greatest ideas I've had in my life came from little people that came into my life to teach me different things about the journey. It's amazing where it comes from. And I'll never forget, when I was stationed as a priest in Atlantic City, and I was stationed in an all African-American parish. And we had this guy, Eddie, used to hang out on the street corner, and Eddie was an older guy. I was younger then, by the way, so he was older. And I would go up there and just sit with him. And God, he had so much wisdom. It was unbelievable. It's like I was sitting with a wise man. Taught me so much about the neighborhood, about the streets, about life, about different things in life. It's totally amazing. When I was a prison chaplain, I worked at Trenton State Prison, where they had a Scared Straight program. And basically I learned a lot from those people. I mean, look what happened. They were serving life in prison, but they had the guts to be able to accept where they were and then use that to try to help others, to try to straighten kids out before they got in trouble. I've seen the exact same thing in so many people with handicaps in different directions. I've learned so much from that. That's why we have to learn to celebrate who we are, to celebrate our life, to celebrate the uniqueness of ourselves as an individual. And in doing so, we'll begin to see the beauty, the positive things inside of us. And we all are wonderful, fantastic, positive people. But we live in a world that tries to put you down, that tries to make things insane and crazy. And guess what? That's how the world is supposed to be. We have to be in the world, but not of the world. We have to live in it and go through it. But the bottom line is, I am the architect of my life. I have to be able to work on the journey of my own life. It doesn't make any difference, what's going on in the world. The world was crazy from the beginning of time. I always say this all the time. Dysfunctionality is normal. It's what you do with it that's important. You have to embrace it. Got to walk through it. But look to the other side, to the lining on the other side, and appreciate every minute you have on this earth. Appreciate the people around you. Appreciate the people. I mean, God sent some wonderful people in my life. I had no idea where starting point was going to go. And then this person named Loretta showed up and she started organizing all this stuff and putting it all together. I don't even know what she's doing half the time, but that's okay. She has everything organized and I go by the seat of my pants. So we have a good time together. What can we tell you? See, Jen, you learned that after a while. It's a good part about the thing. But I get a kick out of that. That's how life is supposed to be. We're different. And yet at the same time, we need each other. It's a beautiful part about it. And something always comes along. Something always happens. But are we open to it? Here's the key to developing a good sense of yourself as a person. Be open to the journey. Be open to the experiences. Be open to the things you're going through, because that's where the process really helps us. And we can grow as a result of that. I get excited about this. I can't help it. Because I've experienced so many beautiful things in my life. Even my wife coming into my life, she's one of my greatest teachers. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have learned half the things I learned about food, about changing my life. I'm grateful for my daughters, my grandkids. All of them are tremendous teachers, learning so much from them. My granddaughter taught me how to do all this mechanical stuff, this technology stuff, along with other people that taught me about it too. But I had to become open to it. I remember quite a while ago, a lady friend of mine who runs a nutrition program wanted me to do a workshop with her on something called Zoom. And I said to her, "What's Zoom?" She said, "Well, we'll teach you." I said, "No, thanks. I'm not going to get involved in all that stuff. Get out of here." And then later on, about 2 years later, I did a 13-week workshop with her on Zoom. Now, isn't that amazing? But in the beginning, what did I do? I ran away from it. I hid from it. So finally I faced it. Same thing as regards life. We're always running away. We got to come back. It's okay to run away. We have to, I know. Then we got to come back. Then we have to go on the journey and keep the journey going. Because learning to love yourself is such an adventure. It's getting to know who you are. I love that song. Getting to know me is getting to love me. The more I get to know myself as a person, the more I begin to realize the beauty and the talents and the gifts that we have. And every one of us on the Zoom call tonight are gifted, talented people. They're good energy people. I love being around Carol because she has tons of energy. She makes me nuts. That's why I love her so much. I love being around different people in different directions. John keeps me straight. That's a good part about it. But the beautiful part about it is everybody I meet touches me in one way or another. It's all part of it. I get excited when Charlie's here because he's older like me. It's fantastic. He doesn't have anything up here the same as I do. It's kind of nice. See that? Okay. And probably Ray probably has the same thing, right, Ray? Let me see that. Hey, Ray. Well, guys, you still got it there. We'll have to get you a haircut. We'll see what happens. I just got a haircut 2 days ago. I have the greatest barber in the world, my wife. Okay. She cuts my hair every 2 weeks. What hair is the cut? I don't know, but she has fun. What can I tell you? I get a head massage along with it, so it's fantastic. It's a beautiful part about life, but I'm beginning to look at the little things of life and celebrate them and enjoy them. Now, is there struggle? Yes. There's always a negative side, but there's a positive side to everything. And I truly, truly believe that we can embrace our hurts and our pains and our struggles, that we'll eventually come out on the other side and see what lessons we've learned from them. A lady said to me one time, I was severely abused as a child. What lessons have I learned? I said, well, maybe now you know what abuse is and you can make a choice in your adult life not to let anyone abuse you. There's always something you can learn from every situation that occurred in the course of your journey. But sometimes, we have to fight things and battle things and go through things and go through changes and then come to acceptance, then come to growth and come to different things in the course of our journey in life. And that's what it's really all about. The power of positive thinking, and being able to do things in a positive way. And sometimes even as we begin to look at things in a positive way, a lot of times we have to go through changes to get to that. And that's okay too. So I guess what I'm saying tonight is simply this. Ask yourself these simple questions, do your own inventory, and ask yourself, who am I? Who am I spiritually? Who am I within? Who am I as a person? Do I love who I am? Do I celebrate who I am? Do I honor who I am? Do I honor my body, my spirit, the whole process of who I am as a person? Look within your own self and look at your history and try to look at it with the eyes of gratitude, the eyes of learning, the eyes of growing. Take some time to ask yourself, why am I here on this earth? Why did God place me here? Why did he send me into the family he sent me into? Because they were going to be my first teachers. Now, were they crazy? Yeah. I love my crazy Italian family. They were half nuts, but I learned beautiful things from them. I learned how to adjust to get through situations in life. Even when I was working in the prisons, I learned how to open doors without keys. It's wonderful. I'm learning all kinds of neat things. It's a fun part about life. I'll talk more about that when we talk about laughter. Because I really believe laughter is a big part of therapy, a big part of recovery, a big part of opening up, a big part of growing. It really is. And I know sometimes you have to laugh even when it's not funny. It gets you through a situation. It's all part of the journey we have to go on. And it's amazing sometimes how people come into our life, blended families, people that come together, the Ozzie and Harriet thing, everything else, all that kind of stuff. It all gets connected together. We have to learn from each of these situations in life and grow. And so I'm sure everybody in this room has a story. Elizabeth has a story. Patty has a story. We all got stories. Congratulations. But your story is the greatest story on the face of this earth. And your story is unique. Do not underestimate your story. Your story can touch so many people in very simple and beautiful ways. It's just totally amazing. You come right down to it. I have experienced this so many times in the course of my journey. I've seen people who've come in, touched my life, and then left. And I can stay here tonight if you want me to until 1 o'clock in the morning and tell you stories. I got lots of stories. It's no problem at all. But as you get older, you get more stories. And then you have to be able to share them. That's where growth comes from. That's like Eddie sharing stories with me, telling me about the neighborhood, people around him, how to be able to look at things in a different set of eyes. Sometimes we get very judgmental about different people in different places. But have we ever walked in their shoes and been on the other side of it? That's when we learn to respect ourselves and to respect others, become more open in that direction. I love that phrase in the program, but for the grace of God. Even people that are hurting come into my life to teach me about life. That's what humility really is all about. I look back on that pastor of mine, and I told you the story. Thank God he got into recovery and he made amends to me, and we worked things out together through the recovery program. And then unfortunately he died shortly afterwards because he had cirrhosis pretty bad. But at least he died in recovery. And his name's on the wall at Starting Point. It's a place, he's part of our family. We're all connected together. He was a teacher in my life. He came into my life to help me learn different things and grow. So we go through all these experiences, all these things we go through to be able to do our growing, to do our learning. All these experiences are part of the journey. I look at the people I met in the course of my journey, and, I so much gratitude. And yet at the same time, heartache, losing of people. 2 members of my family died of addiction way before they were supposed to. There's heartache there. But now I really truly believe they're my guardian angels on my shoulders, watching out for me and helping me. I don't know. At least I'm open to it anyway. And so tonight, I just wanted to emphasize that fact of celebrate yourself as a person. Enjoy the things in the course of your life. If you're going through struggle, get help, get people to help you through it. Don't try to do it alone. Let the process help you along with it. Have some faith, have some trust. And somehow, some way, isn't it amazing? Things always kind of work out. But they work out in God's time, not in our time. Here comes that word again. My father drilled in my head. Patience, patience. Things work slowly, stick around for a while. So my prayer tonight, I want to thank God for the gift of life. I want to thank God for putting me on this earth and putting you on this earth to be part of my family. I have so many beautiful brothers and sisters today, and I guess now I even have a bunch of grandkids, one way or another. When I get around younger people today, I get a kick out of it. I go to my meetings and I meet people that are like, real young, and basically it's fun to be around them because they're teaching about another generation. I'm still trying to learn some of the things they're saying because now with the texting, they got all these abbreviations. I got to get a dictionary to figure out what they are. But that's okay. See, that's the stuff you look in life and you begin to experience in life. So what do? I ask them, what does that mean? Next thing I know what it means. If I don't know something, I say I don't know. It's all part of it. That's what life is supposed to be about. You got to know everything. If you know everything, it means you know nothing. See how simple it is? And so basically, ask. It's all part of the journey. So let us pray. God, we come before you tonight as your family. We come before you in prayer. Look to the God of our understanding and we say thank you, thank you, thank you for the gift of our life. Thank you for our journey. Thank you for the places you've taken us. But above all, thank you for the teachers you send into our life. We look at life through the eyes of gratitude, through the eyes of learning, through the eyes of growing. And we thank you, God, for the giving us the opportunity to walk this earth. Teach us to acknowledge who we are, to acknowledge our talents, to acknowledge our gifts. Teach us to celebrate the beauty of ourselves as an individual and as a person. Always realizing, I know that you send crosses into our life, struggles into our life. And maybe we need that to help us to appreciate the things we have to go through in our growth. So thank you. Thank you for all the journey. Thank you for the moments. But above all, we even thank you for the hurts and pains we had to go through as part of the struggle. We learned this gift of gratitude, this gift of learning, gift of humility, and teach us to accept and to go forward with the power and gift of love. We pray and we ask this every day, and we ask it in your name with gratitude and with love. Amen. Now I'm going to ask you to unmute. And then, Pat, you ready? The maestro.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.